What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Christian Hannah back for another Surviving the Sequel. So I just got a new job at Camp Crystal Lake, and I'm learning about this guy that's this legend named Jason. And the word around the street is Warrington Gillette didn't do his own stunts. What's going on, guys? Christian Hannah here. Welcome to another Surviving the Sequels. It's been a while, right? But here we go. We're ready to do another one. I'm excited. And here we go. We're going to talk about one of my favorites. Friday the 13th Part 2. So look, I wanted to do this one because this is one of my favorites, especially like with the look-wise of Jason. I always thought the look of Jason in this movie was absolutely fantastic. I know it was a rip-off, so to speak, of The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Who cares? It is what it is. We're going to get into 5 reasons why you guys need to check out Friday the 13th Part 2. Let's do it. The first reason you guys should check out Friday the 13th Part 2 is Jason's reign of terror officially begins in this movie. That's right, Friday the 13th Part 2. We can debate on whether the first one was a dream sequence or not, whether Jason really was there. I like to think he was, despite the fact that Victor and Tom Savini say, no, it wasn't Jason, he's not real, he was a ghost, it was a dream, whatever. How did he just show up in Part 2? Besides the point, Jason's reign officially realistically begins in Part 2, and it comes off with a bang. Jason immediately goes in for the best of kills you'll see in the franchise in Part 2. Cool things like Jason's lair that we see in Part 2, where he presentably lived, which was interesting because he had like this little hut that he was at, which was kind of creepy. And honestly, I wish we would have saw that a little bit more throughout the movies. I'm kind of sad we didn't. But this is Jason's reign of terror officially beginning. One of the most iconic horror movie monsters in the world, period, till this day. And this is the movie where you can arguably say Jason's reign of terror has officially begun. The second reason you guys need to check out this movie is for the potato sack. The potato sack look in Friday the 13th Part 2 is haunting and scary. While the hockey mask obviously is iconic, it's legendary, it's a fan favorite, I love the tater sack look. I think it's so creepy. I think Jason has just this hillbilly from hell look. It almost looks like something from a Rob Zombie movie. Just, there's so much questions. Like, you can, it's one thing when you can't see Jason's face, but it's another thing when you can't see his entire head covered up. Then you really have no idea what the heck is under there. The reason they stopped using this was simply aesthetics. I think it was uncomfortable for Steve Dash. But think about if they would have kept this. I mean, would we have potato sacks in Walmart stores during Halloween time and Spirit Halloween? Or maybe it wouldn't have caught on as well. That's something we'll never know. This movie remains an anomaly for being the only movie where Jason dons the dreaded potato sack, and it's something to be seen. The third reason I'd like you guys to check out Friday the 13th Part 2 is the great GINNY. You know, we have a lot of great final girls throughout the series, and one of the all-time favorites is GINNY. And I think the reason why is because her dialogue, her lines, the way she really acts, she just kind of walks like a regular, talks like a regular person. She's not doing anything that makes you think this girl is less than intelligent. She's not doing anything that makes you think she can't handle her own. And I think that's what we really like about GINNY as a character is she's so believable. Her rhythms are nice. You understand everything she does has a purpose in the movie. She makes sense. And she's just someone that's so easily identifiable to get behind. I don't really remember her doing anything in the movie where I'm like, no, GINNY, don't do that. Like, she seemed pretty spot on in the movie with what you would do if you were in these situations. Let's hope we never get in these situations. The fourth reason I want you guys to check out Friday the 13th Part 2 is none other than the kills. Some of my favorite kills are in this movie. In particular, how messed up it is that Jason kills a handicapped guy. I mean, he literally knocks a guy on a wheelchair down a flight of stairs. That is not nice, dude. Like, that is really pushing it. Like, you have no heart. I think the only thing worse than that would be killing kids, which I don't know if Jason's ever killed a kid. Have you ever killed a kid? Somebody in the comments section let me know if Jason's ever killed a kid. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. Some of the other kills in this movie are just straight to the point and brute and back in the head whacks and things like that. But you gotta remember, slasher movies were really in the heyday at this point, so a lot of these brute, forceful kills that you're seeing are fairly new. A lot of these things were done by the character of Jason Voorhees first as well, especially with the velocity that he did them at, so kudos to that. And the fifth and final reason I'd love for you guys to watch Friday the 13th Part 2 is that final sequence. It's one of the most incredible final sequences in the whole Friday the 13th franchise, and probably one of my favorite sequences in all of horror movies. GINNY and Paul and Jason are in that little hut, and they see Mrs. Voorhees' head. GINNY is smart enough to think, well, maybe if I put this sweater on, I can pretend to be his mom and he'll fall for it. It was a psychological test that she was putting Jason through. I can watch that scene seen a whole number of times, and I always lean up a little bit every time I watch it because it's so, oh my goodness, what is about to happen? Because you've got this maniacal murderer right in front of you. He's probably as close from me to you, and I'm about to just slash you, and you're trying to psych me out. And it was working. That's what's so great about that scene is you've got this guy so close. Just the tension and the suspense in that whole sequence and the room itself. And then, of course, when the movie ends, we pan to Mrs. Voorhees' face. Apparently, in the original sequence with this, what they wanted to do was have like a real person's dead head up there and have Pamela Voorhees' eyes open up at the end of it. But I like that they don't because it makes you think, okay, what was about to happen that we didn't see? Or it just makes you question. I always love questions in the end of a horror movie. Good questions. So there's 5 reasons I want you guys to check out Friday the 13th Part 2. It's the only one of its kind in the franchise. It's the only time you'll see Tater Sack Jason, the great character of Ginny, which was a shame. I would have loved to have seen her again. She was my favorite girl as well. And a lot of other great reasons. It's brute, it's early 80s, it's Die Hard, it's a slasher movie to the 10th degree. There's a lot of great movies in this franchise, and we'll talk about more in this series for sure. But I wanted to show some love to Friday the 13th Part 2. I wouldn't say it's overlooked. I think Friday the 13th Part 2 has a big fan base, and rightfully so, but I haven't talked about it a whole lot, and I think it's high time that I do. There we go, guys. 5 reasons you guys should check out Friday the 13th Part 2. And what do you think about the movie? Do you like it? We'll see y'all next time.